Let's please bring in retired NHL referee Tim Peel. We've got a long way to go, not a lot of time to get there. But Peeler, you heard me say Calgary. What was your favorite road city, if you don't mind? You must get that all the time. What was your favorite road city?
Favorite Canadian city would be Montreal. I loved working in Montreal, even though I grew up a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. I grew up, I'm 58. I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and Montreal would always beat Toronto on Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday night. But I love the atmosphere in Montreal. Favorite U.S. city would have to be New York City. From a kid from a small town working and just walking around on a day off and enjoying the people watching in New York City.
Nobody ever says sunrise, but that's okay. It's a nice little secret down here. Tim, you and I have never met, but I can just tell you're my kind of guy. I hope that we do, and that Snipes and Stripes podcast is outstanding. We'll talk about that more at the end. But our poll question today is, how much has officiating affected these Stanley Cup playoffs? The options are a lot, no more than normal, or very little. What would you vote?
I would say no more than normal. It always it's like death and taxes, Rod. It's the same thing it literally is the same conversation every year. And some of it's justified sometimes, some of it's not. We can talk about the Florida Boston series and so on, but I haven't seen any games. Listen, there's going to be calls that one fan base doesn't like, that another fan base says, oh, that's a penalty, and you're not going to keep everybody happy. But I haven't seen any call that's decided a game other than maybe the goaltender interference in Boston the other night. I'm still a little confused over that.
The Sam Bennett goal, yes. Well, don't ever change, Peeler. Keep giving your opinion, and I kind of get a sense you aren't going to change. Not at this stage of the game. So Don Sweeney comes out on Tuesday and says, we're getting screwed, the GM of the Bruins, in a news conference. Does that ever have any effect? I've always have been calling out the refs, saying, get them on your side. Is right or wrong?
No, you know what? And I've got a lot of respect for Don Sweeney. It's very frustrating for them. I think he felt they could be tied 2-2 in this series now. Now they're down 3-1. Tough to win 3 out of the next 4 games against a team like that, or 2 out of the next 3 games. What usually happens is it's not so much the GM. Well, it is the GM. The GM will go to, there's a series supervisor for that particular series, Boston and Florida. And I don't know who it is off the top of my head, but we'll say it's Bill McCreary, the Hall of Fame, because he was a series supervisor in the first round. Don Sweeney will go to Bill McCreary on a day off, morning of the game, say, hey, so I'll give you a better example. When Toronto and Boston were playing for years in the Stanley Cup playoffs, we would always be told, hey, the drip is Patrice Bergeron is cheating on the faceoffs. That would always be the drip. Toronto would always complain Patrice is cheating on the faceoffs. And some of it may be accurate, but he was just such a good faceoff man. And maybe he did get away with a little bit more than maybe a rookie centerman. I'm not sure. I'm not a linesman. But that would always be the drip. So the same thing in this series would be, hey, Florida's hooking us. They're boxing us out. They're slashing more. That it's just that little drip to the series supervisor, and then his job is to decipher what is really valid and what is just white noise. And he'll sit down. So this morning or at the rink, the series supervisor will sit down with the officials, and the guys that are working the game tonight already know what's going on in the series. But he'll have a chart and he'll say, here's how many slashing penalties, here's how many tripping penalties, here's how many goaltender interference penalties. Here's kind of what we're seeing happen in this series, and we need you to tighten up on a certain a rule or a certain area of the game. It's all gamemanship right now, and I'm not so sure. There's been a big cry for officials to come and speak to the media after the games, and yeah. I'm I'm not necessarily no to that. It's just like anybody in any work of life, Rod. Some people are better public speakers than other. Wes McCauley and Kelly Sutherland would do an excellent job coming to speak to the media. Other guys, might not be as comfortable, and they may just make it. It may be just become a complete disaster.
Yeah, but Peeler, at what point do we say it's sour grapes? There's that. Why should they have to address it? Now, the Bruins guy on the radio this morning, I don't know if you listen to NHL radio or not, the Bruins radio guy was like, in MLB, the umps have to speak. In the NFL, the refs have to speak. Why don't they in hockey? I'm like, you're just pissed off you didn't get the call, which, by the way, the Bennett thing was upon review. What would be the point of talking to the guy on the ice?
1,000%, you are absolutely correct. Having the referees come out to discuss that play absolutely makes no sense. I agree with you. The NHL, people, I was getting messages, the referees, they want Florida to win, the league wants Florida to win, blah, 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 blah. They're blaming the referees for that Sam Bennett goal, but at the end of the day, the buck stops at the situation room. As the referee on the ice, we call it a goal or no goal, but then we go to the situation room, and Chris King, Kay Whitmore, Colin Campbell, guys that have had 30 years of experience doing this, they're the ones that make the final decision. It's not the referees. They take the referee's input on the ice, but at the end of the day, it's the situation room's final decision. So you can't blame the refs all the time. And you know what, Rod? Good teams don't blame the officials.
Boom. But what about Sam Bennett giving Marchand one of these in Game 3? How is that missed?
Well, that's missed very easily because, as you know, we didn't see the other angle until TNT. It's like it's a little bit. It sounds a little bit fishy, but we didn't see that feed until a couple hours before game time on TNT. So you can see how the officials missed it, and the players and everybody. I guarantee you, the fans that were watching that, the players on the ice, nobody really saw what happened. So it's easy to miss that call. I don't like that play. I'm sorry. Personally, I think Sam Bennett, listen, I would have him on my team every day. Do I think he deserved to get a game suspension? I do. You know what? You just knocked out the captain of the Boston Bruins. It would be like if Pat Maroon knocked out Matthew Tkachuk. You got to put yourself in that position as well. And there would, heads would want to roll. I think he should have set a game, and then to put salt in the wound, of course, it's the hockey gods. You and I have been around the sport for a long time. It happens. It's the hockey gods. And of course, Sam Bennett's got to score in Boston and just rub the salt right in the wound because the Boston fans and management and media probably didn't even think Sam Bennett should be playing in that game.
And it always evens out. Could even start evening out as early as tonight, right? This series isn't over. And with regards to how is it missed, I guess the better question is, how is every camera angle not made available to the officials? Which I know that it's not. That's my question. How do you not have every angle, right? And that's something, I guess, that needs to be fixed. And I guess, lastly, for those that don't follow Tim on Twitter, you better start because you aren't afraid, man. That's why I love your Twitter. I mean, you obviously love going back and forth with the fans.
Yeah, it's funny. Last night I get a message on Twitter. The referees put the whistles away at MSG, and that's why the Hurricanes won. And I go, the Hurricanes, New York didn't lose because I watched that entire game last night. Peter Laviolette would be the first one to say the officials did not lose that game for us. We lost the game. We let our foot off the pedal, and Carolina came in hot. So, you know what? I give my opinions, and that's all they are. They're just opinions. People get so upset these days, Rod, when you make a statement. And all I'm saying is, hey, that's just my opinion. It doesn't mean that it's right. And it probably isn't right. But we're all entitled to our opinions. I heard you talking before about the Edmonton-Vancouver series. man, these fans these days are crazy. In both of these cities, they literally want to kill each other. It's what makes our sport so fun, because it's such, our fans are so passionate, and this is why this second round to me has been the best second round in the last few
Yeah.
years of playoffs. Usually the first round is really exciting. There's a lot of controversy and so on, because you've got teams that just snuck in. But right now, we've got 8 good, solid hockey teams that I think anybody could say, you know what, other than maybe Boston, any of these teams can probably win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, yeah. This round is made up for everything round one might have missed, right? There was some good series there, but not everyone. This one's been deadly. Tim, thank you. Keep up the great work. Can't wait till we chat again.
Thanks, Rod. Thanks for having me.
Retired NHL referee Tim Peel.